Australia's Information Commissioner is beginning an inquiry into the handling of personal data by TikTok. According to 9 newspapers, the inquiry will examine whether alleged harvesting of personal data, including phone numbers and browsing histories, requires formal investigation. Several major Australian brands are being called on to remove the tracking tools from their TikTok accounts over privacy concerns. TikTok was fined nearly $24 million earlier this year after a UK inquiry found it had unlawfully processed the data of more than 1 million users under the age of 13.
In particular, our young people, where their habits are getting tracked and things like their spend, and we know alcohol, tobacco and gambling are big areas that look at young people's habits online, and then there's a grooming process. So I know there's many on the crossbench that are really keen to get the government to be much stricter around data collection and tracking of young people under 18.
Joining me live now is Bond University Associate Professor Dr. Terry Goldsworthy. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. What is your thoughts on the TikTok and the privacy concerns and the inquiry? Do we need to be doing more? Are you satisfied with what we're seeing?
Well, I think the inquiry is a good initiative and it is needed. I mean, if you look at the UK experience, which you just outlined, I mean, it is concerning that you could have 1 million or so people, young people under the age of 13 accessing TikTok. And I mean, there's a number of dangers in having young people access these social media platforms, and they include access to explicit content, data harvesting where their details are taken, cyberbullying, misinformation. We also know that young people often use social media to highlight risky activities. So, it is quite problematic having young people under the age of 13. But in a more broader aspect, I guess, is all of these data harvesting aspects that we're seeing, eventually could be used for criminal purposes if criminal gangs manage to access that data. So things like your browsing history, financial details, your date of birth, your name, etc. Anytime that kind of information is harvested and stored somewhere, there's a risk that it may fall into the wrong hands, and that's problematic.
Yep, it certainly is. And also something that's really raising concerns is a really massive spike in shoplifting. And according to Crime Prevention New South Wales, they're saying that retailers may experience a variety of crimes, but shoplifting is certainly by far the most common. And it's interesting looking at some of the research, it's not just teens, but it's the older demographics as well.
Yeah, look, certainly you'll see, I think, an uptick in what we call property-related offences, which include things like theft and shoplifting, and that's due to the increased cost of living. I mean, a steak is now extraordinarily expensive. People need to eat. These are basic needs. They need to eat, they need to drink, they need to provide for their family. So it may become, in terms of a cost-benefit analysis, they may go it's less risky to shoplift than to try and pay when you don't have the finances. So I think we're only going to see this increase. How the stores respond to that with extra security, etc., will be interesting to see. But it's certainly going to be a trend that I think will go up, not down, as long as the cost of living pressures are increasing as we're seeing at the moment.
Yeah, because research is saying that younger people in particular are feeling more justified in shoplifting given that economic climate. But what responsibilities do you think the shop owners do have? I mean, of course, all shop owners are going to feel the effects, but if you focus on the small businesses who are struggling compared to some of the bigger businesses, this is certainly concerning for them as well.
Well, it is. I mean, it's interesting your comment there that the young people don't see it as affecting anyone. I mean, this is one of the problems when you have shoplifting going up, is people see it as a victimless crime. The offenders see it as a victimless crime. They see a big corporation and they think it's okay to steal from them. I mean, ultimately, though, it affects everyone. It affects the shareholders. It adds increased security costs to the consumers, etc. For small businesses, it's even more problematic. I mean, they may not be able to afford security, but they're still getting substantial thefts occurring. So, and with the issue of thefts is how desperate is someone who is stealing from your store? I mean, if you try to intervene with that person, you then run the risk of the offence escalating into an offence of violence. So there's a flow-on effect from this where people become desperate due to economic pressures. They commit criminal acts to try and, alleviate some of those pressures. And then if they're confronted, it may escalate further. So I guess the police would be giving the general information that, if you catch someone shoplifting from your store, perhaps ask them to put the property back, contact the police. But, certainly I don't think they'd be encouraging small businesses or any security to physically engage with these people, because there is the aspect of violence there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen on a couple of stores where they've actually put a photo up of the person that has stolen the products, and they're literally naming and shaming them up on the wall there.
Yeah, my local 7-Eleven down in Burleigh here has that, the wall of shame, and it's titled with "We Know Who You Are," and there's big CCTV photos of some of the repeat offenders. So I guess that's a good crime prevention strategy. They'll walk in there and everyone will know who they are, so they probably won't go back, you would hope.
You would hope not, but thank you very much. Always great to see you. Hope you come back very, very soon, and have a great New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and beyond, and we'll see you lots more in 2024. Dr. Terry Goldsworthy, thank you so much.
Thanks, Janie.